Hello and welcome to another Story Explained video. In this one we'll be looking at Norwood Hitchhike. This is the second episode of the Fears To Fathom series, which focuses on real life stories from people who have encountered creepy situations. This episode in particular follows Holly, who was at the time 19 years old. She is now 21 and is telling her story. Holly, after asking her dad if she could use his car, uses it to drive up to a gaming convention, as a plane ticket was too expensive. Despite his initial concerns, he allows her to use the car to get to the convention, and after a great time, on June the 16th, Holly begins the long 10-hour journey home. Traffic was awful, so Holly, in keeping with any horror film regarding hitchhikers, decides to take a detour. Bad move. This turned her already long journey into a longer one, stretching it out to an exhausting 12 hours. At around 9 PM, Holly is driving along, approaching a place called Norwood, and begins to run out of fuel. Luckily there is a gas station nearby. Holly pays for some fuel and the gas station attendant tells her to be careful around the bridge as people have gone missing around there. He tells a local legend of a ghost, a hitchhiker with a blue or white dress who allegedly was either the victim of a car accident there on a prom night or that she was murdered and was out for vengeance. She asks a customer in the store if he knows of the legend, but he just replies, "Big mistake." Holly brushes this off and goes to leave, but sees a mysterious man doing something to her car outside. As she leaves the gas station, he hops into a white van and drives off. Holly continues on down the road and passes the bridge. Some strange things start to happen to her car. The lights keep turning off. She sees a burnt out car by the side of the road. Could this belong to the girl who died in a car crash? Maybe. She ventures further down the road and two logs are blocking it, almost as if someone has deliberately left them there. Anyway, eventually, in true hitchhike horror fashion, Holly goes back to her car and it won't start. She is literally in the middle of nowhere. She figures she has to wait for a car to come along so she herself can hitchhike. Someone drives straight past her. But eventually the customer from the gas station, Jason, drives by, pulls over and gives her a ride to a nearby motel where there is breakdown recovery. Now she mentions the guy at the motel's reception desk giving off all kinds of creepy vibes, but nonetheless she's desperate and pays for a room, and then she pays for breakdown recovery too. She gets to the room and, well, it's underwhelming. There's no mattress. She opens the bathroom door and there's a man in there. He, Tommy, was just cleaning the room. Then he was going to go out and pick up Holly's car. After getting settled, Holly lies down and tries to get some sleep. She sees a man outside her window who walks off. When she investigates, there's no one there. She decides she is too creeped out to go to sleep, so she goes and grabs a coffee. After glugging an espresso, Holly seems to have been drugged. She makes her way back to her motel room and goes to sleep. And she wakes up at around 3 AM. Joe, the motel owner, knocks on the door and tells her that he's had some complaints and for her to keep the noise down, which doesn't make sense as she was sedated. Holly mentions the coffee machine and Joe, much to Holly's surprise, mentions that they don't even have a coffee machine. She is adamant, however, and leads him to it, only to find that it's literally vanished. The motel owner tells her to go back to her room and that there are some meds in the drawer in her room which could help her symptoms. She then takes them and starts to feel a lot better. She then sees a man outside her door. He starts mumbling and asks her to let him in, as he needs help. Holly refuses and says she will call the cops, but she still refuses to open the door. All of a sudden, he starts trying to kick the door down. Panicking, Holly hides in a closet. The guy enters the room looking for her. As he is in the bathroom, the motel owner, Joe, sneaks into the room and knocks the guy out. Holly states that she finds it weird that Joe chose not to get police involved, as it would have affected the motel's reputation. Holly vowed to never do long distance drives again and vows to take the plane next time. So it turns out that, contrary to what the guy at the gas station says, it turns out these disappearances weren't anything to do with the local legend or a ghost. Holly thought that it was either a cult or a drug ring. The likelihood is that it was a trafficking ring. You see, this stranger guy was stalking Holly ever since this moment. He passed her on the road and likely thought that she was a vulnerable young woman. He turned around, and while she was in the gas station, he sabotaged her car, causing it to break down somewhere on the road. He then blocked the road. He likely then followed the car that picked Holly up to the motel and began plotting. He placed a fake coffee machine in the motel containing coffee with sedatives in it. He waited for Holly to pass out and then entered her motel room, hiding in the cupboard. When the motel owner arrived at the door, the creepy guy's plan was foiled, and he chose to escape while they were walking to the non-existent coffee machine, which is why the closet door was open when Holly returned to the room. He then knocked on the door pretending to need help, and if he caught Holly, he would have likely abducted her. Now, I'm not too sure whether Jason was involved, whether or not he purposely dropped her off at the motel, or whether he was just a good Samaritan. Was the motel owner Joe involved too, given that he simply decided not to report the matter to the police? Maybe Joe had a change of heart, which is why he knocked the creepy guy out and let Holly leave. What's more is that the motel was not approved for vacancy. Does this motel have a large part to play in the disappearances of all those people, so it was shut down? This is likely the main reason why Joe didn't want the police knowing what happened, especially because his motel wasn't even authorised for guests to stay there. There was another car in front of Holly which sped off. Were they the ones that blocked the road, meaning that there are potentially many people involved in this? We do seem to see the exact same car at the motel, potentially indicating that this is indeed a ring of some sort. Who knows? Anyway, it's very creepy and mysterious, and Holly definitely dodged a proverbial bullet. But that is it for this video. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Leave your thoughts and theories down below, but for now, take care and I will see you in the next one.